In a quiet corner of the Milky Way, far from the bright centers where great empires ruled, a small blue planet turned slowly. The aliens who watched it called the planet Terra, though most of its people simply said Earth. From high above, in hidden observation posts, the Galactic Concord kept their eyes on this world. The Galactic Concord was not one species, but many. Tall, thin beings with glowing skin from the Zorath homeworld led the council. Giant, slow-moving creatures from the stone worlds of Gruen handled defense. Quick, insect-like traders from the hive clusters managed commerce. Together, they had kept peace for thousands of years. They watched new species carefully. Some became friends. Some became problems. A very few became dangers that had to be stopped. One day, a long-range scout ship drifted close to Earth's solar system. It stayed far beyond the orbit of the outer planets. The scout collected radio waves, television signals, and the faint heat from cities. It watched ships that still used chemical rockets. It saw wars fought with guns and bombs, not plasma cannons. It recorded people arguing in many languages about land, food, and power. After many months, the Scout sent its report back to the Concord's Threat Assessment Bureau on the capital world of Nexus Prime. The analysts read the data. They saw a species that had only just learned to split the atom. They saw cities full of lights, but also full of smoke and trash. They saw machines that flew in the air, but could not leave the planet for long. They saw people who built beautiful things, and also destroyed them in anger. A senior analyst named Lyra 9, a calm Zorath female with silver patterns on her arms, wrote the final classification. Species designation, human. Homeworld, Terra. Technological level, early post-industrial. Social structure, fragmented into competing nations. Military capability, planetary only. No evidence of faster-than-light travel. No evidence of energy weapons beyond experimental stages. Behavioral profile, highly aggressive toward their own kind, yet capable of cooperation in small groups. Potential for rapid advancement noted, but current state shows extreme internal division. She paused, then added the key line. Threat level, Tier 7, minor danger. Tier 7 was the lowest active rating. It meant watch from a distance. Place one small monitoring satellite in the outer system. Check once every few years. No need to send ships. No need to talk. No need to worry. The report went to the High Council. Elder Vexar, the oldest Zorath in the room, read it under soft blue light. His long fingers tapped the screen. Around him sat representatives from 20 major species. Minor danger, Vexar said in his deep, slow voice. They fight each other more than anyone else. Their weapons cannot reach us. Their ships are toys. Let them grow in their own time. If they ever reach the stars, we will decide then. A Gruen delegate rumbled in agreement. They break their own world. They will probably destroy themselves before they become trouble. A hive trader clicked its mandibles. No profit in contacting them now. Too primitive, too many languages, waste of time. The council voted quickly. The classification stood. A single stealth satellite was launched toward Earth's sun. It would send quiet reports every decade. That was all. On Earth, life continued as always. In a dry desert in the American Southwest, a group of engineers and scientists worked inside a large hangar. The building had no windows. Armed guards stood outside. Inside, bright lights shone on a strange ship. The ship looked like a thick needle with wings folded against its sides. Its name was painted in black letters near the nose. It was the first human ship designed to test a new kind of engine. A warp drive that bent space instead of pushing through it. Captain John Hayes stood on a metal platform above the ship. He was 42 years old, tall, with short brown hair turning gray at the sides. He wore a plain blue jumpsuit with the United Earth Exploratory Command patch on his shoulder. He had flown fighters in wars long ago. Now he flew tests that could change everything. Beside him stood Dr. Emily Foster, the lead scientist on the project. She was shorter, with curly red hair tied back. She held a tablet and pointed at numbers on the screen. "The field coils are stable," she said. "We can reach 0.9 lights in the test chamber. If it holds, the next step is orbital trials." John nodded. "Good. The politicians want results soon. They keep asking when we will meet aliens." "Tell them the aliens are probably too busy to notice us yet." John looked out at the ship. "Maybe. But I have a feeling the universe is bigger than we think, and maybe not as friendly as we hope." Far away, the Concorde satellite drifted silently. It watched the blue planet. It recorded the tiny flare of test engines in the desert. It noted the increase in radio traffic about space. It sent the data onward in a tight beam that would take years to reach Nexus Prime. The analysts would read it later. They would see the small jump in technology. They would shrug. Still Tier 7, still minor, still no threat. But on Earth, people kept working. In a quiet room at the Exploratory Command Headquarters, Admiral Robert Klein looked at maps of nearby stars. He was older than John, with white hair and calm eyes. He had spent his life planning for the day humans would leave their solar system. He spoke softly to his aide. "Keep the budgets hidden. Keep the tests secret. The world thinks we are just building better rockets. Let them think that." The aide nodded. "And if someone asks why?" Robert smiled thinly. "Tell them we are preparing for the unknown, because one day the unknown will find us." Outside the window, the sun set over the capital city. Lights came on in buildings. Cars moved on roads. People laughed, argued, loved, and fought. Normal life. Above them all, the Concorde satellite floated in cold silence. It watched. It waited. It judged. Humanity went about its days, unaware that the galaxy had already decided what they were worth. Minor danger. A label so small it almost felt like an insult. But labels can be wrong. And when they are wrong, consequences come fast. 47 years had passed since the Concorde placed their quiet satellite near Earth's sun. On the blue planet below, humans did not stop. They built taller rockets. They sent machines to other worlds in their own system. They learned to make fusion power in hidden labs. Then one morning, in a secret base under the mountains, the first true warp engine hummed to life. The ship was bigger than the old Endeavour. It had stronger hulls, better shields made from new materials, and a drive that folded space like paper. They named her Endeavour II. Commander Lisa Carter stood on the bridge. She was 38, with short black hair and sharp green eyes. She had flown combat missions in the old wars, and then trained for years to command this moment. Her crew of 12 trusted her completely. "Systems green," said the pilot, Lieutenant Kevin Ramirez. "Warp field holding at 1.2 lights equivalent." Lisa took a slow breath. First jump to Alpha Centauri. The ship shivered. Stars stretched into lines. Then everything snapped back. They were 4 light-years from home in less than a minute. Cheers filled the bridge. Lisa smiled for the first time that day. "Send the message home," she said. "Humanity has reached the stars." They did not know that another pair of eyes watched them leave. A Concorde patrol cruiser named Vigilant drifted in the empty space between stars. It was a medium ship, crewed by mixed species. The commander was Overseer Krell, a tall Zorath with deep purple skin and a calm, superior manner. His second-in-command was a young Groon named Torv, built like a walking boulder. The Vigilant had been sent years earlier to watch the outer edge of human expansion. The satellite had sent alerts, increased warp signatures, new signals, ships leaving the home system. Krell read the latest report and made a soft clicking sound with his tongue. "Tier 7 species achieving FTL," he said. "Interesting, but still minor. They will need guidance." Torv shifted his heavy feet. Guidance or containment? Both, Krell answered. Standard protocol. We intercept, explain the rules, and place them under protective quarantine until they learn their place. The Vigilant moved to intercept. Its sensors locked on Endeavor 2. The humans saw the alien ship appear on their screens like a sudden shadow. Long, smooth, silver, and much larger. Lisa stared at the display. That's not one of ours. No match in any database, Kevin said. It's beautiful and scary. A voice came over the open channel. It sounded calm and mechanical at first, then warm as the translator adjusted. This is Overseer Krell of the Galactic Concord patrol vessel, Vigilant. You have entered regulated space. As a newly emergent species classified Tier 7, minor danger, you are required to stand down and prepare for boarding. Your vessel will be taken into protective quarantine for evaluation and reorientation. Do not resist. Compliance ensures your safety. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. Protective quarantine. The words sounded polite, but carried steel underneath. She pressed the reply key. This is Commander Lisa Carter of the United Earthship Endeavor 2. We are exploring on behalf of humanity. We claim sovereign rights to travel freely. We do not recognize your authority or your classification. We will not stand down. Silence followed. Then, Krell's voice returned, this time with a hint of amusement. Commander, your spirit is noted, but Tier 7 species do not have sovereignty until approved. Your technology is primitive by galactic standards. Your weapons are chemical and kinetic. You have no defense against our systems. This is not a request. Power down your engines and open your bays. Lisa looked at her crew. Every face showed the same mix of fear and anger. She thought of the years of work, the risks, the hope that had brought them here. No, she said clearly, we will not comply. Krell sighed through the translator. Very well. Demonstration follows. A thin beam of blue light lanced from the Vigilant. It struck Endeavor 2's port engine nacelle. The human ship lurched. Alarms screamed. Smoke filled the engineering deck. The warp drive flickered and died. Engines offline, Kevin reported. We are dead in space. Lisa clenched her fists. Damage? Bad, said the engineer over the intercom. We can limp on thrusters, but no warp. Hull integrity holding, for now. Krell's voice returned. That was a warning shot. The next will disable life support. Prepare for boarding. Your crew will be treated with respect. Resistance will not be tolerated. Lisa stared at the alien ship on the screen. It was so much bigger, so much more advanced. But something burned inside her. Something humans had carried for thousands of years. She opened a private channel to Earth. The message would take years to arrive, but it had to be sent. Admiral Klein, this is Carter. First contact made. They call themselves the Galactic Concord. They classify us as minor danger. They demand surrender and quarantine. We refused. They crippled our engines. We are preparing to defend ourselves. If you receive this, know that we will not go quietly. Humanity does not bow. She cut the transmission. On Earth, deep under a mountain, Admiral Robert Klein received the burst transmission 4 years later. By then the war had already begun, but that day he played the message in a quiet room. He listened to Lisa's voice, steady, even when everything was falling apart. They think we're minor. Let's prove them wrong. Back in space, the Vigilant launched shuttles. Small craft moved toward the damaged human ship. Inside the Endeavor 2, the crew armed themselves with rifles, pistols, and improvised explosives. They knew they could not win, but they could make it cost something. Lisa stood at the main hatch with 5 Marines. She held a standard-issue carbine. Her face was calm. If they want us, she said, they will have to come and take us. The first shuttle docked. The airlock hissed. The inner door began to slide open. Krell watched from his bridge. He expected fear. He expected surrender. What he saw instead was a line of humans in simple armor, weapons raised, eyes hard. Torv leaned closer to the screen. They are not running. Krell frowned. No, they are not. The first alien soldier stepped through. A human fired. The fight began. The Concord troops had better armor and energy weapons, but the humans fought in close quarters with no retreat. They used corridors like traps. They threw tools, chairs, anything. One Marine tackled an armored Groon and detonated a grenade taped to his chest. The blast shook the shuttle. Krell watched the feed in silence. His troops pulled back. They had taken the engine room, but the bridge remained locked. The humans had sealed themselves in, and were sending out distress calls on every frequency. Krell reported to Nexus Prime. Minor danger species has resisted boarding. Casualties higher than expected. They fight with unusual determination. Recommend escalation to Tier 6 review. Quarantine may require force. The reply came quickly. Approved. Send reinforcements. Contain them. No species leaves Tier 7 status without permission. Krell looked at the small human ship on his screen. It looked fragile. Yet it refused to die. He felt something new. Not fear, not yet, but doubt. On Earth, fleets gathered in secret. Engineers worked day and night on new ships. Scientists improved weapons. Leaders spoke quietly about the day the galaxy would learn the truth. Humanity had been called minor danger. Now the galaxy would face the consequences, one small damaged ship at a time. The news of the Endeavor 2 spread fast across Earth. Commander Lisa Carter and her crew had been taken prisoner after a short but fierce fight. The alien ship Vigilant towed their damaged vessel to a Concord holding station on the edge of known space. There, the humans were held in bright, clean cells. Guards watched them day and night. Food came through slots in the walls. No one spoke to them except to give orders. Back on Earth, people felt shock, then anger. For the first time in history, almost every nation agreed on one thing. No one would decide humanity's future, but humans. Admiral Robert Klein called an emergency meeting in a deep underground bunker. Leaders from every major country sat around a long table. Screens showed images of the alien ship and the report Lisa had sent before capture. They think we are minor, Robert said. They crippled one ship and expect us to kneel. We will show them otherwise. President Michelle Grant leaned forward. She was calm, with dark eyes that missed nothing. We build. We arm. We prepare. No more secrets from our own people. The world needs to know we are not alone, and we will not be controlled. Word went out carefully at first, then louder. Governments told their citizens the truth. Crowds gathered in cities. Some were afraid. Most were angry. Factories that once made cars and phones now built ships and weapons. Engineers worked around the clock. Scientists shared ideas across borders. Old enemies became allies in the face of something bigger. The Concord did not wait long. They sent a message to Earth through the captured Endeavor 2's comm system. The voice was Overseer Krell's. People of Terra, your species remains classified as Tier 7, minor danger. Your unauthorized expansion violates Concord law. You will limit travel to your home system. You will pay tribute in resources. You will accept oversight stations in your space. Refuse, and force will be used. This is not negotiation. The message played on every screen on Earth. People watched in silence. Then the protests started. Not against their leaders, but against the aliens who thought they could own the stars. A new human colony had been started on Epsilon Eridani B, a green world with breathable air. 5,000 settlers lived there in domes and farms. They had arrived just months before first contact. When the Concord message reached them, the colony leader, Major Kevin Brooks, called his people together. Kevin was a former Marine, strong and quiet. He had gray in his beard now. He looked at the settlers, families, scientists, builders. They want us to leave or pay, he said. We will do neither. This is our home. If they come, we fight. The Concorde sent a small task force, 3 troop transports and 1 escort cruiser. They arrived in orbit above the colony. The commander broadcast the same demand: surrender or be removed. Kevin answered from the surface: we are humans. We do not surrender our homes. The aliens landed dropships on the wide plains. Armored troops marched out, Zorath in sleek suits, Groon heavy infantry, smaller support units from the hive. They expected quick obedience. What they met was different. The humans had prepared. They dug trenches. They hid explosive traps made from mining charges. They used fast ground vehicles to strike and run. Kevin led small teams that attacked at night, cutting supply lines and picking off scouts. One morning, a Zorath platoon walked into a valley. Hidden humans fired from the ridges. Bullets sparked against alien armor. Then the ground exploded under them. The blast threw soldiers into the air. The survivors fired energy weapons that burned holes through rock. But the humans kept coming, running through smoke, throwing grenades, fighting hand-to-hand when ammo ran low. A Groon soldier, twice the size of a human, grabbed a Marine named Brian Lee. Brian drove a combat knife into the gap under the alien's helmet. The Groon fell. Brian stood up, bleeding, and kept fighting. The battle lasted 3 days. The aliens took heavy losses. Their commander called for retreat to orbit. They left behind broken armor and dead troops. The humans held the colony. Reports flew back to Nexus Prime. Elder Vexar read them in the council chamber. The room was quiet. 3 transports damaged, 180 troops lost, a Tier 7 colony, Vexar said slowly. They used no advanced weapons, only traps, rifles, and will. A hive representative clicked nervously. They adapt too fast. They learn our patterns in hours. Vexar turned to the military advisor. End this defiance. On Earth, the victory on Epsilon Eridani gave hope. President Grant signed the order for Project Resilience. Massive shipyards appeared in hidden asteroid belts. New engines burned hotter. New guns fired faster. AI systems helped pilots think quicker in battle. Volunteers joined the fleet in record numbers. Admiral Brian Lawson took command of the growing forces. He was tall, with a calm voice and a mind like steel. He stood on the bridge of the new flagship, Independence. The ship was bigger than anything humans had built before, sleek, heavy with missiles and railguns. We are not just defending, Brian told his officers. We are showing the galaxy what humans are made of. They called us minor. We will make them remember the name. In the months that followed, small clashes happened across the border systems. Human scout ships met Concorde patrols. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they fought. They learned how alien shields worked. They learned weak points in hulls. They captured damaged alien drones and studied them. One scout team, led by Captain Laura Evans, brought back something special. Laura was an engineer, young and brilliant. Her ship ambushed a small Concorde supply vessel. They boarded it before the crew could self-destruct. Inside, they found plans for a jump disruptor, a device that blocked warp travel in a large area. Laura worked day and night. She rebuilt the device using human parts. She made it smaller, stronger. When she tested it, a test drone jumped and stopped dead in normal space. This changes everything, she said. If we can strand their ships, they cannot run. The Concorde battle group arrived at the edge of human space. 12 large warships, led by the dreadnought Harmony. They carried thousands of troops. Their mission was simple: break human resistance. Take Earth, if needed. They did not know that human fleets waited in ambush positions. They did not know about the new weapons. They did not know that every human soldier, every pilot, carried the same thought: no more being called minor. The first shots would come soon. The galaxy had drawn a line. Humans were ready to cross it. The Concord battle group dropped out of warp near the edge of the Sol system. 12 massive warships formed a perfect line. The dreadnought Harmony led them, its hull gleaming under distant starlight. Thousands of troops waited inside. Elder Vexar watched from Nexus Prime through a live feed. He expected a quick end. Humans were still Tier 7. They had surprised everyone on one small colony, but this was different. This was their home. Admiral Brian Lawson stood on the bridge of the Independence. Around him, screens showed the enemy fleet. Human ships waited in 3 groups. Some hid behind Jupiter's moons. Others floated in the asteroid belt. A third group guarded Earth and Mars directly. Every captain knew the plan. No glorious charges, no fair fights. Hit hard, hit fast, and never let them regroup. "Enemy in range," said the tactical officer. "They are broadcasting demands again." Brian listened to the familiar voice of Overseer Krell. "Human forces, stand down. Your resistance ends today. Surrender your worlds, accept Tier 7 status, or face total destruction." Brian pressed the reply key. His voice went out on every open channel. "This is Admiral Brian Lawson of the Human Alliance Armada. You came to our home. You brought weapons. You will leave with lessons. Humanity does not accept your labels. We fight for our future. Come and take it if you can." The battle began. The Concorde fired first. Beams of white energy cut through space. They struck the outer human picket ships. 2 frigates exploded in silent fireballs. But the rest moved. They did not stay still. Human ships twisted in ways no Concorde pilot expected. They rolled, spun, and used gravity assists from moons to change direction fast. A group of small human corvettes rushed forward. They looked weak next to the dreadnoughts, but each carried racks of new missiles, fast, smart, and packed with antimatter tips. The missiles launched in waves. Concorde point defenses shot down many, but some got through. One struck the side of a cruiser. The explosion tore a hole big enough to fly a shuttle through. Atmosphere vented. Lights flickered. The ship began to drift. Krell stared at his screens. "They use suicide weapons?" "No," his weapons officer said. "Guided, precise. They sacrifice range for speed." More human ships appeared from behind Saturn. They had waited in the rings, hidden by ice and dust. Railguns fired solid slugs at high speed. The projectiles moved too fast for most shields to stop. One slug punched through the Harmony's forward armor. Sparks flew inside the dreadnought. Alarms sounded. On the ground, the fight reached Mars. Concorde landing craft touched down near human colonies. Instead, they met dug-in positions. Human Marines in red dust suits fought from trenches. They used heavy machine guns, portable rockets, and mines. When ammo ran low, they charged with blades and bare hands. Major Kevin Brooks led one counterattack. His squad ran across open ground under energy fire. A beam hit his shoulder. Armor melted. Pain shot through him. He kept running. He jumped onto a Gruen tank, planted a charge, and rolled away. The blast flipped the vehicle. Kevin stood up, blood on his face, and shouted for his men to advance. Back in space, the turning point came. Captain Laura Evans flew a special ship called the Disruptor. It was small, fast, and carried her new weapon. The jump disruptor looked like a simple antenna array, but when it fired, it sent out a pulse that broke the fabric of warp space in a wide bubble. Laura waited until the Concorde tried to pull back for a regroup. Their ships opened warp fields. Then the pulse hit. Every Concorde ship in the bubble froze. Warp drives failed. They dropped back into normal space, helpless. Engines sputtered. Navigation systems screamed errors. Krell felt his ship shake. What is happening? Jump failure across the fleet, the engineer reported. We are stranded. Human ships closed in. Railguns hammered. Missiles struck again and again. The Harmony lost power to its main guns. Smaller ships burned around it. On the bridge of the Independence, Brian watched the enemy line break. Press the attack, but take prisoners where you can. We want them to tell the story. Concord troops on Mars faced something new. Humans fought in places no sane species would. They moved through thin air with cracked suits. They ignored wounds that would kill others. One Marine lost an arm to a plasma burn. He tied it off with his belt and kept firing with the other hand. Another laughed as he threw a grenade into a cluster of aliens. The aliens began to panic. Zorath officers shouted orders that no one followed. Groon soldiers, usually fearless, started to run. Hive units scattered. Krell ordered a full retreat. But with jump drives dead, retreat meant slow thrusters toward the outer system. Human ships followed. They picked off stragglers. They boarded damaged vessels. They took officers alive. Hours later, the battle ended. The Concorde lost 7 ships destroyed. 4 more crippled, beyond repair. Thousands of troops dead or captured. The Harmony limped away with heavy damage, its once proud hull scarred and dark. Elder Vexar watched the final moments from Nexus Prime. The council chamber was silent. No one spoke. Vexar closed his eyes. We were wrong. A young aide stepped forward. Elder, reports say humans fought without fear. They endured pain no other species could. They turned every weakness into strength. Vexar nodded slowly. We saw division and called it weakness. We saw struggle and called it primitiveness. We never saw what it made them. On Earth, crowds gathered in streets. Screens showed the victory. People cheered. Tears fell. Flags waved. For the first time, humanity felt truly united. Admiral Brian Lawson sent a message to the Concorde Council. Your fleet came to punish us. We defended our home. We could have destroyed every ship. We chose not to. We want peace, but peace on equal terms. No more tears. No more quarantines. Recognize us as we are, or next time we will not hold back. The message reached Nexus Prime. Vexar read it aloud. Then he looked at the council. Prepare for talks. The galaxy must change. In the quiet after battle, Laura Evans stood on the bridge of her ship. Her hands still shook from the fight. We did it, she whispered. A crew member smiled. They called us minor danger. Now they know better. The consequences had begun. The galaxy faced them, and humanity stood tall. The stars stayed quiet after the Battle of Sol's Vale. Wreckage floated in wide orbits around the sun. Broken Concorde ships drifted like dead whales. Human salvage teams moved carefully among them. They pulled out bodies, weapons, data cores. They learned more from the ruins than from any book. Earth celebrated, but not with wild parties. People worked harder. Factories ran day and night. New ships rolled off hidden lines in the belt. Colonies grew faster. People from old Earth nations lived side by side on distant worlds. The fear of aliens had turned into purpose. Humanity no longer hid. It built. The Concorde Council met in emergency session on Nexus Prime. Elder Vexar sat at the head of the long table. His skin looked duller than before. The room felt cold. Representatives from every major species stared at screens showing the battle reports. Losses were high. Pride was higher still among the humans. We underestimated them, Vexar said. His voice was low. We saw their wars and thought chaos. We saw their pain and thought weakness. We were blind. A Groon delegate rumbled. They fight like nothing else. They keep going when others fall. They turn defeat into traps. A hive speaker clicked softly. Their ingenuity grows in crisis. Every loss teaches them. We must talk now. War costs too much. Vexar nodded. Send the invitation. Neutral ground. No weapons. No fleets. Only words. The message went out on open channels. It reached every human ship and every colony. Admiral Brian Lawson read it on the bridge of the Independence. He looked at his officers. They want to talk. We go. But we go strong. A neutral station waited in deep space between borders. It was old, round, made of gray metal. No flags flew. No guns showed. Humans arrived first. Brian stepped off his shuttle with a small team. President Michelle Grant walked beside him. She wore a simple dark suit. Behind them came Captain Laura Evans and Major Kevin Brooks. They carried no weapons, but their eyes missed nothing. The Concord delegation entered from the other side. Elder Vexar led them. Overseer Krell walked at his side. Krell's purple skin had new scars from the battle. His eyes looked tired. Guards from both sides stayed outside the main hall. The two groups met at a round table. No one sat at first. They studied each other. Then Vexar spoke. We come to end this. The Concord was wrong. Your species is not minor danger. You are something else. Something we did not expect. Brian answered. You came to our home. You tried to chain us. We defended ourselves. We could have destroyed more. We stopped because we want peace. But peace must be equal. Michelle stepped forward. No more tears. No more quarantines. No more tribute. Humanity claims its place among the stars. As equals, nothing less. Then back at the humans. We agree. The old classification system ends today. Your species will join the Reformed Council as full members. Observer status first, full vote after one cycle. Your borders will be respected, your colony safe. Krell spoke next. His voice was quieter than before. We saw your people fight, on ships, on ground, in vacuum. You laughed at death. You carried wounded when others would leave them. You built weapons from scrap. You never gave up. We fear what happens if we push again. Laura smiled a little. Fear is a good teacher. Use it. Kevin added, we do not want your empire. We want freedom. For us. For others you kept under your rules. Vexar bowed his head slightly. The Concord will change. Oppressed worlds will gain voice. Old laws will fall. Your example forces this. They signed the agreement on clear crystal pads. Light flashed as the words became law across the galaxy. No cheering, just quiet nods. The weight of history sat heavy in the room. After the talks, humans returned to their ships. Brian stood on the bridge and looked at the stars. We did it, he said softly. Michelle stood beside him. We started it. Now we live it. Word spread fast. Alien worlds heard the news. Some cheered. Some worried. Many watched Earth with new eyes. Traders came closer. Scientists asked to visit. Stories of human resilience spread like fire. In bars on distant stations, aliens told tales of the small blue world that refused to break. Years passed. Earth became a hub. Ships from every species docked in orbit. Markets grew in old cities. Children learned alien languages in school. Humans shared their music, their food, their stubborn hope. One day, on a new colony world called New Dawn, a young girl named Sophia looked up at the night sky. Stars filled it. She turned to her father. Dad, is it true we were called minor danger once? Her father, a former Marine, smiled. Yes, long ago, the galaxy thought we were weak. Sophia frowned. But we're not. No, he said, we're not. They learned that the hard way. Sophia looked back at the stars. Good, let them remember. On Nexus Prime, Elder Vexar grew older. He often sat alone and thought of the blue planet. He remembered the day they placed the satellite. He remembered the label, Minor Danger. He smiled sadly. We judged too soon. In the end, the galaxy changed, not because humans conquered it, but because humans refused to be small. They endured, they adapted, they fought when needed, they offer peace when possible. The stars no longer look down on Earth with pity or control. And caution. Underestimate humanity at your peril. The consequences had come, and the galaxy would never forget.